joined by Colin Clark, the Director of Policy and Research at the Soufan Group in New York. Colin, great to have you back on the show. Let me start off really from what we heard just in the last, 24 hours or so from that interview that Prime Minister Netanyahu did with Israeli television. I mean, it's clearest message yet, and we hear this from our correspondent in Jerusalem about where he wants to take this war, that's shifting its attention to Hezbollah. What do you make of this?
It's hard to say, but you're absolutely right. There's multiple audiences on the receiving end of his message. There's the Israeli public, there's Hezbollah, of course, there's the Lebanese public, and I think there's the international community, most pointedly the United States and others. The U.S. and the French have been accelerating diplomatic efforts to kind of quell these roiling tensions, unsuccessfully so far. But it seems clear that Netanyahu is determined to keep rolling. But when one looks at how poorly Gaza has gone for the Israel Defense Forces, it's really questionable that he would go forward with some kind of war with Hezbollah. But at the end of the day, politics is what's going to drive conflict. And so we may end up there eventually.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of the diplomacy, the push. We've seen a lot of the diplomatic push in the last week or so. We also heard last week, Colin, you can add to this, from US officials saying they had serious concerns about Israel's Iron Dome and how it could be vulnerable to Hezbollah's kind of vast arsenal of missiles and drones. I mean, just in the last couple of weeks, the last week, we saw that 9-minute video the Hezbollah put out showing really the military and intelligence capability. Speak to that. Speak to in terms of what you've seen and what you've learned just in the last few weeks from Hezbollah.
Precisely. If you look at what Hamas brings to the table, Hezbollah is infinitely more sophisticated as a military force. You're talking about a group that has been around since the early 80s, and now its arsenal contains upwards of 150,000 rockets and precision-guided munitions. So a war with Hezbollah would make what's going on in Gaza look like child's play. And I think if you look at the 2006 conflict between Israel and Hezbollah, which lasted approximately 34 days, that was a really, really hard fight for the Israelis. Hezbollah won a lot of acclaim throughout the region for standing up to Israel. And now fast forward to 2024, we're talking about a much more well-armed, well-trained, battle-hardened group. Keep in mind, Hezbollah has been fighting in Syria alongside the IRGC Quds Force, alongside Russian mercenaries. So this is a group that's, really kind of gained significant battlefield experience and would be an immense challenge for the Israelis to take on.